T here for another one of my favorite typing videos. Today we are on video number 6, our last video before we get into my top 5. So my top 5 are pretty cemented. I've generally liked these top 5 for most of my life. The only two that generally change are 1 and 2, usually flip flop back and forth. But up until now, some of these types, again, when you have a list this big, I mean, anything over top 10, things change, move around a bit, things like that. But this type, this number 6, has always been one of my favorites. Dare I even say the occasional moment it might dip into the top 5, but it's usually number 6 or 7 on my list, and it's never really gone further down than that throughout my entire Pokemon era, which has been most of my life. So my number 6 typing, it's kind of ironic that I did this one right after number 7 Ice. And that is, my number 6 one is Dragon. So, Dragon typing to me is a phenomenal type. It is obviously one of the heaviest hitting types in the entire Pokemon universe. Again, for the longest time, Ice was the only thing that could take it out, but yet most of the Dragon type Pokemon could learn some type of fire move like Flamethrower and wipe out the Ice types, and then they finally added the God-awful Fairy, and well, we won't get into that. But again, Dragon typing has always been the coup de grace, per se, of the Pokemon world, and most pseudo-legendaries. So the Pokemon that aren't quite legendaries, but they're kind of like mini legendaries, most of them are Dragon types. It has the most pseudo-legendaries, and I've even had a few pseudo-legendary Dragon types pop up on this list in other areas. Where I'm actually even going to reference and preface some of them when we get to some of these types. But Dragon typing is just an awesome type, and I have a feeling some people are going to judge me for the list of which Dragon types I picked, because you're probably thinking, oh, he put Dialga or Rayquaza or something like that. And honestly, I didn't. I know, I thought about it, I was contemplating it, but I'm like, I need to be true to my favorites. And don't get me wrong, Rayquaza and Dialga and those types of Pokemon, those Pokemon are phenomenal Pokemon. I love them. I'm even, like I said, I'm doing a new run through of Legends Arceus right now, and I cannot wait to get Dialga. I actually like Dialga better than Palkia. No hate towards Palkia. I still think Palkia is a cool Pokemon. I just like Dialga better. Rayquaza, phenomenal Pokemon. I actually just bought my son the other day a Charizard with Rayquaza's look and skin on it, so it's kind of cool. So again, amazing Pokemon. They're just the Pokemon I picked. I just felt better suited my playstyle and what I like. And I think I'm going to get judged hard for the one I picked for secondary. So enough babbling, let's get into it. So quick refresher to everyone. 4 Pokemon: pure type, primary type, secondary type, least favorite pure type. The least favorite pure type, actually, I think is just garbage. It almost looks dumb to me. And I know I'm probably going to tick off some people with it. Don't worry, it's not like a famous one. It's more of like a side one. But I know I'll find that one person that actually likes this Pokemon and doesn't like that I'm saying it's garbage. So let's go ahead and jump in. So my favorite pure type Dragon, this one was a little hard because there were really some really good ones, but then nostalgia kicked in and I had to go with Bagon. Now, for those of you who don't know, I mean, I've been playing Pokemon since the original games first came to North America. I literally got a copy of Blue and then another copy of Yellow on a Game Boy Color back when the games first came to the United States. Like, I literally remember opening these brand spanking new out of the box. So I still have those memories. So that's how long I've been doing Pokemon. But I really got into Pokemon. Like, I've always been a fan, but I really cemented my love of Pokemon come Gen 3. Gen 1, I was still a little kid. I was just kind of playing around. Gen 2 was decent and okay. Don't get me wrong, I like Johto. But then when Gen 3 came around, I was old enough to understand the games. I knew how to do the ins and outs and the workings of them. So a lot of my nostalgia from my childhood comes from Gen 3, and Bagon's one of them. He's a cool looking Pokemon. He's just a cute little dragon type. And then when you see him in the TV show and the movies, he's only like barely up to your knee and stuff. He's just so awesome. Plus, I love Bagon's evolutions. Shelgon looks weird, but it's almost kind of like he's a cocoon, and then he's about to blossom into his ultimate form. And then when we got a Mega Evolution of Salamence, and then we got the Paradox form of Salamence, Bagon's whole evolution line is amazing. And with that being said, and I know some of you are going to hate me for this, but I didn't say it was against the rules. I'm still sticking to the rules because I don't have Megas on this list. Well, you'll see. So my favorite primary dragon type is, and don't hate me for this, I know, is Salamence. Again, this decision was super hard. There was a lot of good choices I could have picked from for primary dragon types. But again, like I said, Gen 3 to me was phenomenal. It was one of the greatest gens out there. Still to this day, I still think Gen 3 is the greatest gen. From the map to the overworld to the enemies. I love Team Aqua and Team Magma. And honestly, the Pokemon. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are certain individual Pokemon from other gens that I like that are some of my favorites. You know, like my favorite Pokemon from Gen 1. But at the end of the day, in terms of overall list, Gen 3 is my favorite. I love this generation, and I'm sure nostalgia plays a part of it, but Salamence is amazing. I kind of already played him up. He gets that Mega Evolution. He gets the Paradox form. The whole Bagon line is just phenomenal. Now, my favorite secondary dragon type is Charizard X. No, I'm kidding. I said from back at the beginning I wouldn't include Mega Evolutions, but I had to throw them out there because anyone who knows anything about me knows I'm a Charizard fanboy. To me, when they don't add Charizard to a game, it's the biggest travesty in the history of the Pokemon universe. Charizard, again, I don't know what it is. I've just loved Charizard since I accidentally picked Charmander back in Pokemon Blue because I was one of those kids that did A so fast and I didn't know what I was doing. But Charizard X is phenomenal. But again, I promise no Megas, so I did pick an actual secondary. Don't hate me for this. I actually like this Pokemon, and I do actually like Scarlet and Violet. Again, they're not my favorites, and there were a lot of things wrong with them, and I do think that they should have just taken Legends Arceus and set the mechanics for Legends Arceus in the Paldea region. But I still like a lot of these Pokemon. I'm not going to let the few glitches that happen that they eventually patch, sour the whole game. And my favorite secondary dragon would probably be Miraidon. I like the mechanics of riding the Pokemons. I thought it was cool. I thought it was fun to fly around with them when you unlock that feature. I thought it was cool to climb the mountains with them. I liked Miraidon. I think it's a cool looking form. It's a powerhouse in battle. I like the electric dragon typing. I think it's cool. I know Scarlet and Violet has gotten a lot of hate over the last couple years or the last year or two, but I like the games. Again, they're not my favorites. I would honestly rank them maybe 4th or 5th. If we're going, just mainline games, maybe 6th or 7th if we include some of the side games like Legends Arceus. But Miraidon is still a really cool Pokemon. And again, there were other great Pokemon too, like Garchomp and Flygon, but those ones I already used in a different video. So again, I promised I wouldn't repeat Pokemon, so that's why they're not on this list. And again, I promised not to use Megas. That's why I don't officially pick Charizard X on here, but Charizard X is still my favorite. Now, my last one, my least favorite, is probably Druddigon. I'm probably saying that wrong. I just think this Pokemon looks weird. I mean, it looks like they just took several dragon Pokemon and mashed them together. I've never looked too much into his backstory. I've never really cared much to catch him other than to complete my national decks. And I'm just not a fan of him. Even his Pokemon cards are kind of weird. And again, I know most people are probably like, well, I don't hate him, but I don't like him. Some of you probably forgot this Pokemon even existed, let's be honest here. But I know I'm going to get that one person that's like, Druddigon is my favorite. And I'm sorry, no hate. Like, if your favorite Pokemon's Cryogonal from my last video, you're just weird. But if your favorite Pokemon's Druddigon, okay, Druddigon, whatever, that's great. You do you. That's awesome. I'm just not a fan. It's not that I, hate him, like Cryogonal. I'm just not a fan of him. He's not my cup of tea. So, that's my video number 6, ladies and gentlemen, dragon typing. So, stick around for my top 5. And yeah, see if you can guess what the order is.